Hello everyone, I'm José Ramírez, General Manager of Solidum Lawyers. Today, we'll explore together the fascinating structure of a crime. Welcome to our channel.
In the intricate scenario of criminal law, understanding the structure of a crime emerges as an essential pillar for both legal professionals and citizens interested in unraveling the workings of justice. In Ecuador, the structure of a crime is governed by principles established in the Comprehensive Organic Criminal Code, COIP, regulations meticulously defining the fundamental elements constituting a crime. Our purpose goes beyond the surface. We aim to provide a critical analysis shedding light on these key elements. Let's start with the act. In legal terms, the act materializes as the physical conduct performed by the alleged offender, as prescribed by the COIP. For specific examples, we'll explore from material acts to omissions, delving into how these tangible actions build the foundation of the crime structure, according to the current regulations in Ecuador.
The intent, or mens rea, a central concept in criminal law, will undergo rigorous analysis. From deliberate intent to conscious negligence, we'll address the various ways the law evaluates guilt, always in line with the classifications and relevance that the COIP grants to these intentions to determine criminal responsibility. The consequences of a criminal act, another pillar of the legal structure according to the COIP, will be examined meticulously. We'll analyze how Ecuadorian laws contemplate the impact of a crime on victims and society at large, ensuring to closely follow the code's provisions. This approach will not only provide information on the evaluation of consequences, but also underscore the importance of considering the social context in criminal justice, as prescribed by current regulation.
Through this analytical exploration, we'll not only bring clarity to the structure of a crime, but also build an educational and accessible narrative in line with the Ecuadorian legal framework. Integrating legal terms with specific examples and relevant situations will allow our audience to connect with the complexity of the criminal law in Ecuador, generating deeper interest and critical understanding among both legal professionals and the general public. This content strategy aims not only to educate but also to promote more active and reflective participation in the conversation about criminal justice, always staying aligned with the provisions of the COIP.
Initial segment of our video, we explore the essence of the act in a crime, focusing on its interpretation according to the Comprehensive Organic Criminal Code, COIP, in Ecuador. Detailed understanding of the act is crucial, as it constitutes the initial and tangible component of any crime, laying the groundwork for determining the guilt of the alleged offender. In the legal context of Ecuador, the COIP provides a clear definition of the criminal act, conceptualizing it as the physical conduct performed by the accused. The simplicity of this definition, expressed as what the accused does, aims to eliminate the inherent complexity of legal terminology. This communicative clarity is intended to facilitate understanding for both legal professionals and ordinary citizens, building a bridge that enriches legal knowledge in an accessible manner.
It is crucial to note that in the legal framework of Ecuador, the COIP classifies criminal acts into various categories, ranging from material actions to omissions. Typicity, a fundamental concept in the COIP, establishes the specific elements that must be present for behavior to be considered a criminal act. These elements are essential to determine whether a behavior conforms to legal typification and, therefore, constitutes a crime. Objectivity, in typification supported by objective criteria in the COIP, contributes to impartiality and consistency in the application of the law. By providing this explanation, our goal is to add depth to the public's understanding of the variety of acts that can constitute a crime, thus fostering a more informed and nuanced perception of criminal legislation in Ecuador. This approach aligns with the intention to promote a more robust and conscious understanding of law enforcement in a country.
In the legal realm of Ecuador, the COIP provides clear guidance on various criminal behaviors. For example, in the case of homicide, the code establishes conditions that define it, whether as intentional or unintentional, and imposes proportional penalties based on the severity of the action. When it comes to theft and robbery, the code addresses these behaviors, marking the differences between them and specifying the corresponding sanctions for each case. Additionally, the COIP includes specific provisions to address gender-based violence, recognizing the severity of these acts and establishing protective measures for victims. In the realm of corruption, the COIP also plays a crucial role in addressing related crimes, such as bribery and illicit enrichment, imposing penalties to actively combat corrupt behaviors.
Likewise, the code addresses crimes against individual freedom, including provisions on kidnapping and illegal deprivation of liberty. These measures are designed to protect people's freedom and ensure security in society. By sharing these specific examples, we aim to provide a closer and more understandable insight into how the COIP addresses different situations, thus promoting a more informed perception of criminal legislation in our country.
The second question in our video highlights a fundamental element in criminal law, intent, or in legal terms, mens rea. Under the Comprehensive Organic Criminal Code, COIP, understanding intent emerges as an essential factor in determining an individual's guilt in a criminal act. In this section, we will provide a clear and precise explanation of this central concept, analyzing its meaning and relevance in the legal context. Within the framework of the COIP, mens rea encompasses the criminal intent behind the unlawful conduct. It goes beyond the simple act itself, representing the conscious and voluntary motivation to commit the crime. We emphasize the importance of this intent as a determining factor in addressing an individual's guilt. This definition aligns with Ecuadorian jurisprudence and offers a profound insight into how courts consider intent when judging criminal cases.
It is crucial to highlight how Ecuadorian regulations through the COIP recognize that intent is a crucial aspect of understanding the nature of a crime. The distinction between actions performed accidentally or involuntarily and those executed with full knowledge and will makes a difference in legal assessment. In the Ecuadorian legal context, it is essential to understand the distinction between actions performed accidentally or involuntarily and those executed with full knowledge and will, as this difference has significant implications in the legal assessment of an act. The Comprehensive Organic Criminal Code, COIP, establishes clear criteria to discern between these two scenarios.
When we refer to accidental or involuntary actions, we are talking about situations where a person performs an act without the conscious intention to commit a crime. For example, if someone accidentally stumbles and causes harm to another person, this act could be considered accidental. In contrast, actions performed with full knowledge and will imply that the full person had full awareness of their actions and acted deliberately. An example could be someone who, with full knowledge, damages another person's property with the intention to harm.
The legal assessment of these cases varies based on the intent behind the act. If it is proven that an action was accidental, legal responsibility could be different compared to an action performed with a criminal intent. The COIP addresses these nuances to ensure a fair and proportional assessment of acts, considering intent as a key factor in determining guilt and legal consequences.
The third question in our video addresses an essential aspect of the structure of a crime: consequences. Within the framework of the Comprehensive Organic Criminal Code, we recognize the importance of understanding that the repercussions of a criminal act can have a significant impact on both victims and society as a whole. In this section, we will explore how these consequences are evaluated and how this assessment is crucial to understanding the severity of the crime and applying justice comprehensively. In the Ecuadorian legal context, consequences can be classified in various ways, ranging from direct physical or material damage to indirect effects on the community. This broad approach in evaluating repercussions reflects the pursuit of justice and comprehensive reparations to victims. It is fundamental to highlight that this holistic approach aligns closely with the fundamental principles of the Ecuadorian penal system, which seeks not only to punish the offender, but also to repair the damage caused and restore harmony in society.
The COIP recognizes the complexity of consequences by classifying them comprehensively. The law considers not only the direct impact on the victim, but also the indirect ramifications that can affect the community as a whole. By highlighting this holistic approach in the evaluation of consequences, we aim to enrich the public's understanding of the importance of this aspect in determining the severity of a crime and the application of justice in Ecuador. This detailed analysis seeks to provide a clearer and deeper insight into how this crucial aspect is addressed in our legal system. In the Ecuadorian legal framework, evaluating the consequences of a criminal act is a crucial aspect addressed in detail by the Comprehensive Organic Criminal Code (COIP). This code establishes principles and criteria to understand the severity of the crime, considering both direct and indirect repercussions on victims and society at large. When we refer to evaluation of consequences, the COIP recognizes that these can manifest in various ways. For example, in case of physical injuries, direct consequences may include the physical harm suffered by the victim, and this will be evaluated based on the severity of the injuries. Additionally, the COIP considers indirect consequences such as the psychological or emotional impact on the victim and their surroundings.
A concrete example will be a case of material damage to someone's property. Direct consequences will include the costs associated with repairing or replacing the damaged property. However, the COIP also recognizes indirect consequences, such as the financial and emotional impact that can affect the victim. The evaluation of these consequences is essential to determine the severity of the crime and apply justice comprehensively, as mentioned in the text. The COIP seeks to ensure that the assessment of consequences is complete and considers all relevant aspects to ensure fair and proportional justice in the Ecuadorian legal system.
The fourth question in our video addresses an intriguing topic in criminal law: strict liability. In the context of the Ecuadorian legal framework, where most crimes require the combination of an act and a criminal intent, the question arises as to whether there are crimes that involve strict liability. This means that the law punishes the conduct itself, regardless of the presence of a criminal intent. From the perspective of Ecuadorian criminal law, it clearly establishes the situations where strict liability applies. This legal approach aims to address certain types of behaviors that, due to their inherent danger, are considered socially unacceptable, regardless of the author's intent. It is crucial to highlight that this complex issue requires careful analysis and a detailed understanding of the applicable legislation.
The COIP, in defining the conditions for strict liability, seeks to balance the need to sanction certain dangerous behaviors with the protection of individual rights. This balance reflects the sensitivity of the Ecuadorian legal system to justice and proportionality in imposing sanctions. By exploring this topic in our video, our goal is to provide the public with a deeper understanding of how criminal law addresses exceptional situations and promotes social safety in Ecuador. This analysis aims to clarify the complexities of strict liability and its role in the country's legal system. For example, consider the case of certain environmental crimes. The COIP could apply strict liability when a company engages in activities that result in environmental damage, regardless of whether there was a criminal intent to cause such harm. In this scenario, the law recognizes the inherent danger of certain practices and seeks to sanction them to protect the environment and society.
Additionally, the COIP may also contemplate strict liability in cases of serious traffic accidents. If a driver engages in extremely negligent actions resulting in significant damage, the law could impose sanctions even in the absence of clear criminal intent. This demonstrates how the principle of a strict liability is applied to prevent dangerous behaviors in specific situations.
In the realm of Ecuadorian criminal law, the fifth question in our video highlights the direct influence of the structure of the crime on the sentence, revealing a crucial aspects in the country's legal system. A detailed understanding of the internal dynamics of a crime becomes essential for assessing its severity and consequently determining the appropriate penalty.
The Comprehensive Organic Criminal Code (COIP) emerges as a central regulatory framework that establishes guidelines for the vital relationship between the structure of a crime and criminal consequences. In this context, Ecuadorian legal regulations incorporate a series of factors when delivering on penalties, and a detailed understanding of the structure of the crime plays an essential role in this process. The classification of crimes, considering the typification and severity of each, becomes a key criterion for determining corresponding penalties. Furthermore, the presence of aggravating or mitigating circumstances adds a layer of complexity to the process of determining penalties. These circumstances can modulate the severity of the crime and therefore significantly influence the final sentence. The assessment of the defendant's culpability, considering mens rea and other subjective elements, also stands as an essential component derived from the structure of the crime that impacts judicial decisions.
Let's take the example of the crime of theft. The COIP establishes different penalties depending on the typification and severity of this criminal conduct. If someone commits a simple theft, the penalty could be less severe compared to an aggravated theft involving circumstances that increase the severity of the crime, such as the use of violence. Another relevant example is the crime of homicide. The COIP considers the typification of homicide, distinguishing between intentional and unintentional homicides. Penalties vary based on this classification, reflecting the severity of the conduct and the intent behind the act.
In this regard, the connection between the structure of the crime and the sentence in the Ecuadorian legal system is an intricate process guided by the COIP. The precise interpretation and application of elements derived from the structure of a crime, in conjunction with the consideration of the specific circumstances, ensure impartiality and fairness in the determination of penalties, reinforcing the fundamental principles of criminal justice in Ecuador.
In Ecuador, the structure of a crime presents itself as a complex, intricate, and a vital legal puzzle composed of acts, intent, and consequences. This framework plays an essential role in the functioning of the legal system and has significant consequences in determining guilt and imposing penalties. From the perspective of the Ecuadorian legal framework, each piece of this puzzle contributes uniquely to the overall understanding of a crime. Acts representing the physical manifestation of behavior undergo evaluation in terms of their legality and relevance to the specific type of crime in question. Intent emerges as a crucial element in determining the defendant's guilt. This in-depth analysis of criminal intent is fundamental to understanding the conscious and voluntary motivation behind criminal behavior.
Consequences, on the other hand, not only affect victims but also play a fundamental role in the severity of the crime. In the Ecuadorian legal framework, the comprehensive evaluation of the repercussions of a criminal act reflects the pursuit of justice and the need for comprehensive reparations to victims. This approach is not only oriented toward punishing the offender, but also toward repairing the damage caused and restoring harmony in society. In this sense, the detailed exploration of the structure of a crime in Ecuador reveals a complex and carefully designed legal landscape. Each component, from acts to intent and consequences, contributes integrally of the understanding and fair application of the law in Ecuadorian criminal context. This in-depth analysis provides clarity on the interconnection of these elements and highlights the importance of considering each facet when addressing issues of guilt and penalty in Ecuador's legal system.
In the conclusion of this captivating episode on the structure of a crime in Ecuador, I want to express my sincere gratitude for joining us on this educational journey. A profound understanding of legal topics is essential for building an informed and just society, and your participation has been invaluable. From the perspective of Ecuadorian law, interaction with the audience becomes essential to build a strong legal community. I invite each of you to participate actively through comments, questions, and reflections, providing a platform to address specific concerns and foster enriching legal dialogue.
Subscribing and sharing this video will contribute to expanding the reach of our legal community. By joining together in the creation and discussion of quality educational content, we are building an online space where a legal understanding is accessible and enriching for everyone. I appreciate again your participation in this educational journey. I look forward to having your presence in future episodes, where we will continue exploring relevant legal topics and together building a strong legal community in Ecuador. See you soon!